Alright, so today I am joined with my buddy Gage, and I will be going through the armors of Morrowind, Oblivion Remastered, and Skyrim. Whatever I pick, and then also whatever Gage picks, gets 1 point, which we will put into this little point thing here, and see which of these four games has the best armor. The first 7 here are going to all be the same. So this is the Iron Armor from Morrowind, Oblivion Remastered, and Skyrim. Well, I do like the Skyrim armor. It's definitely a classic. Probably the most notable Skyrim armor. If anyone was to be like, pick a Skyrim armor, it's probably going to be that one that people remember the most. I think I'm going to have to give my point to Morrowind. Gage?
I actually personally don't much care for the Skyrim Iron Armor. I know it is iconic.
Is it because of the horns?
It is partially because of the horns. It also looks real rough, like someone kind of forged armor out of a cast iron skillet that's seen better days.
That's fair, but I also feel like that's part of what gives it its charm.
It's definitely plausible. But that plus the horns is kind of an oof for me.
Fair enough.
I was initially inclined to agree with you on the Morrowind armor, but the more I look at it, the less proportionate it looks to me personally. The legs are very skinny, and the chest kind of looks kind of like a bowl shape, sticking out.
Yeah.
And the shoulders are enormous.
Enormous. I really like the enormous shoulders, though. I think that's one of the things I like most about it. But you're right, it is bulgy.
Well, I kind of like what they were going for with Morrowind. I think I'm actually going to give my point to the Oblivion Remaster for Iron Armor.
Alright, hold on here. So we go boop, boop. Alright, up next we got the Steel Armor. And once again, I really enjoy the Morrowind version. The Skyrim version is really great. I know Gage is anti-horn, and it makes sense why. But I think I like how the horns look. I really like all of these, and I'm leaning towards Oblivion, but I think once again I'm actually going to give it to the Morrowind. It's pretty fucking fly, I would say.
It is pretty solid. Okay, so in Skyrim there actually is a variation of the steel helmet that doesn't have the horns.
Okay.
And so I don't love the horns. I think they're at least more aesthetic, if still a bit silly in this case, than the Iron Armor's horns.
Okay.
The steel armor for Morrowind is significantly better proportioned than the Iron Armor is for Morrowind.
I would definitely agree. Plus, when I picture, let's say I picture a knight, right? Like, I need help, I need a knight to come save me. What I'm picturing is probably the Morrowind thing. The Skyrim one is definitely not what I'm picturing. I could see the Oblivion Remaster, but this is probably what I'm picturing. This is very knight, and I feel like it's a good look for a not bottom of the barrel armor, but like a one up from that, you know?
I can see it. I think that if you're going specifically for a knight aesthetic, that would be the best option. For me, actually, I think it's between either Morrowind or the Skyrim, ideally hornless variant.
Yeah.
I do like the extra attention to detail and the carvings, and it definitely feels like they hit a Nordic vibe pretty well with the Skyrim armor. But I guess they do have some engravings on the Morrowind armor too.
You can kind of see some details going on here. I can't fully make it out, which is not... I don't know if that's the picture's fault or that it's from Morrowind.
I think that's the Morrowind. I think I will go ahead and give this one to Morrowind as well.
Alright. Boom, boom. We got the Dwarven armors. And I absolutely hate the Oblivion ones. However, I love the Morrowind and the Skyrim one. It's hard to decide because they're both so great. For me, the Skyrim one is more like a Centurion, which is pretty fucking awesome, and the Morrowind one is more like a Bionicle, which is also pretty fucking awesome. I don't like the feet of the Morrowind one, especially in game. They feel super bulky. I hate saying this, I think, because I keep picking it, but I'm going with Morrowind again.
I don't hate the Oblivion one as much as you do, but I kind of see what you mean. I think the Skyrim Dwarven armor looks fantastic.
It does.
The Morrowind armor, it's unique, and it almost even makes sense that it's so disproportionate with the sizes of the pieces due to the fact that these are mostly made out of scrapped robots.
Fair, okay, yeah.
But I think overall for aesthetic, I'm going to have to go for Skyrim.
Okay, and I feel like that's fair. Boop. Boop. Alright, so next is the Orcish. With Morrowind, it's some of my favorite armor ever. It definitely gives like a samurai feeling. It's incredible armor. My biggest issue with it is an issue you cannot tell from this angle, but it's that these shoes are so fucking long and floppy, and I hate that. But other than that, it's pretty good. This Orcish armor I'm not that big of a fan of. However, in this Oblivion remaster, I think they really, really fixed the issues I had with it. And once again, it feels great. Fucking love this armor. And I really just don't like the Skyrim one. It just has a completely different feel to me than these ones do. I think I'm going with Morrowind again.
I wonder if you have a favorite overall aesthetic. Yeah, I agree that I don't much care for OG Oblivion's orc armor aesthetic. I do think that the Oblivion remaster is a vast improvement over it. I don't know. I actually like all of the other three besides the original Oblivion.
Yeah.
I actually might go for Skyrim in this one. I agree that it is a very different aesthetic than the other ones. You can kind of see some similarities here and there. It is definitely different. It has a heavier overall look.
To me, these feel Eastern, and this feels, I don't know, super fantasy dragon type thing.
I think that there is still some Eastern vibes to be had there, like the shoulder parts kind of folding over each other, the overlapping there.
Yeah.
Kind of gives me some samurai vibes.
Yeah.
But I do think they strayed a little bit further from realism possibly there, but I do like the overall aesthetic.
Yeah. Okay, next we got the ebony armor. So for this one, my biggest problem with the Morrowind one is, like, you can't see out of it. Shut up, eBay. For this one, I don't know. It just feels awkward. Something about this feels awkward. The Oblivion remaster fixes it a little bit, I think, by making the belt go up higher. Maybe that's what helps with it. I'm not really sure, but it goes up. Now, with the Skyrim armor, I'm gonna sound like a fucking hypocrite. Because here's the thing. These are all black and gold, black and gold, black and gold. This is just black. So it doesn't fit the same kind of aesthetic of the other three. However, this is the fucking coolest looking shit ever. It's so badass that I am going to hypocritically just give this to Skyrim.
I actually do like the ebony armor from all of the games. I don't know how much that's down to it actually looking really great, or just black in general looking good, or the fact that it's pretty high level armor, so it's satisfying to wear it.
Yes, yeah.
But I think that overall I am also going to give the point to Skyrim.
Hell yeah. And now we are going to take a small break to take a small dog potty. Alright, we are back. So, now we are on to the glass armor. See, with Morrowind, it is one of my favorites. I really like it a lot. I love the colors. I love the Sonic the Hedgehog head. It's just a good one. I know I have done a run of Morrowind where I was dressed like this with the hedgehog head and put all my skills into speed. The Oblivion one, I hate. I hate this so much. It's really gross to look at. It's disgusting. I hate it. Everything about it. There's nothing good in this armor. The Oblivion remaster, not only is this way better, but they match the color so much more to the Morrowind one. And I actually don't hate this one. I like it, actually. It's pretty good. And then the Skyrim run, where's the green? Where is the green? You have this, like, blue-green, but that's not green. What is this? This doesn't even feel like a glass armor. It feels like it belongs in, like, the elven armors or something. I think I'm gonna give it to Morrowind.
For me, it is actually, I think, between Morrowind and Skyrim. I agree with you on the original Oblivion armor. It is a bit of an eyesore with the lime green and the crazy-looking helmet.
Uh-huh.
You know, Morrowind versus Skyrim glass armor is down to a bit of lore nerdiness here for a second.
Go ahead.
I think it comes down to that the Morrowind style is more of a dark elf aesthetic because it's in Morrowind, and the Skyrim glass armor you see mostly on members of the Thalmor at higher levels, so it's more of a high elf aesthetic.
Interesting. No, that is good to know. That is good to know. And that does actually explain a little bit why it felt elfy to me.
Yeah, it's worn on higher level Thalmor enemies.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that just is down between a dark elven style and a high elven style of the same material. I think that I don't personally, I'm not a huge fan of the hedgehog helmet. I think it looks a bit silly. So Skyrim gets bonus points for having the only helmet in this set that doesn't look dumb to me.
Okay, fair.
So I think I will give this one to Skyrim.
Okay. Skyrim, one to Morrowind. Right now it's a real neck and neck between these two, and Oblivion also exists. Alright, so next up we got the Daedric armor. I really enjoy the Morrowind one. Now, the Morrowind one doesn't have, like, an official head. There's, like, 3 different heads. I just took the one that was on the internet for, but I really enjoy this armor. I think it's a really good armor. I wish that, like, maybe the kneecaps were covered up with something, but it works. I really like it. I like its design. I like how it's, like, spiked up. And I love the shoulder pads. Really good. The Oblivion ones, I hate. This one looks... Okay, I don't hate them, actually, but man, does it look awkward. It just feels weird. This one feels like he's like, Mommy, I threw up. Can you come clean it? I don't like it. And then it's also lost a lot of its color in the remaster. The remaster did do things right by making, like, the proportions better to make it not feel as awkward, especially with the shoulder pads being up closer to the head. And I know that, sure, he's, like, posed slightly differently, but even if they were posed the same, I promise it's still proportioned better. But I just don't like it. But the Skyrim one is the coolest motherfucking thing ever, especially the helmet. I swear if you just put horns on something, I'm gonna like it. That's just how it is. So I'm gonna go with Skyrim.
This one's a little tough. I don't care for original Oblivion armor. It's kind of like too much red popping through too much black. It's
Okay.
a weird mesh.
Yeah.
I like the Oblivion remaster much better than original Oblivion. I think that they toned down the red, which I think was really what was making it something of an eyesore. and now it's a more toned down red and with a lot more black, which also I don't generally care about this, but to note, it does look more in line with the other games this way with more black. I actually really do like the helmet, I think, in the Oblivion remaster. I think it looks pretty cool with the metal flares.
Going up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool looking, and it kind of does look like it has eyes.
Eyes and teeth. So.
Yeah, I might actually give this one to the Oblivion remaster.
Alright, fair enough. So we're gonna go Skyrim and Oblivion. Next up we have the Dark Brotherhood. Okay, so this is going to be slightly different. We've done the 7 that all are together. Now these are going to be... It's 4 of them that are very similar, but not exactly the same. I would say these are all the same, but the game calls these 3 Dark Brotherhood and this one Shrouded, even though this is also Dark Brotherhood armor. So that's why it's in a separate category. So these next, 4, I think, are going to be similar armors, but they're not all the same. So this one is for the Dark Brotherhood and Shrouded. So we have the Morrowind one, looks kind of like a steampunk ninja type thing. I really like it. I hate these enemies though. They will not let me sleep. The Oblivion one, and it just feels awkward and looks awkward. The Oblivion remaster really fixes a lot of that. It's still kind of the same armor, but it just flows better, especially that hood, And then the Skyrim one, I've just really never been a fan of it. I thought it was actually my least favorite of them. Between all of these, I think I'm actually going to give it to Oblivion Remastered. I think it feels the most assassin-y, and I know this one is ninja-y, but I don't know. I like this one. I think this is the one I'm going for.
For me personally, actually, this one is between Morrowind and the original Oblivion.
Oh.
I too do not care for the Skyrim one. Really much at all. I think it looks a little bit odd with the red touches, and it's so tight-fitting, it almost looks like you're wearing spandex in Skyrim on this armor. Personally, for me, this is the first Oblivion Remaster armor that I have seen that I actually think I like less than the original.
Do tell.
I think a lot of it has to do with I know that you praise this, but the hood and the area around the shoulder and upper chest.
Yeah.
I don't really... I think they might have done this to bring it more in line, kind of, to pay an homage to the Skyrim. They added, splashes of red where it wasn't there before.
That is true, they did.
And it also looks more like cloth, like wizard robes, almost.
Okay.
And the shoulder, this might be partially due to the way we've kind of expanded the picture to fit the screen, but that shoulder looks weirdly bulky for the armor set that it's on.
Okay. Yeah, I think I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So it's a lot of the details are kind of there in some form in the original Oblivion, but it feels so much sleeker and tight-fitting without being the gimp suit that the Skyrim Dark Brotherhood is.
The Skyrim one is definitely a gimp suit.
So, I really like both that one and the Morrowind one.
Okay.
But
I'll zoom in on these two then, yeah.
Yeah, I think overall I will have to give this one to Original Oblivion.
Oh, damn. I think that's Original Oblivion's first point.
It is indeed.
Alright. This is what guards wear in the various games, so that's why they're all there. But again, they have different names, so it's kind of the same, but not really. So we have the Imperial Steel from Morrowind. We have the Imperial Legion from Oblivion, and then the Imperial Armor from Skyrim. I don't know if a helmet is ever on the Imperial ones. From the picture I grabbed, there was no helmet. Sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, I was going to say that there are variations of the armor. There are helmets available
Okay.
for the Legion armor.
Well, the Morrowind one is nostalgic to me. Just seeing him makes me want to create a character immediately and enter a name. I do really like the Imperial Legion here. To me, it reminds me of the Lord of the Rings armor, actually, especially this one. I think I'm going to give it to the Oblivion remaster. I really enjoy this armor.
I think I have to give this one to Morrowind. It's and I think a big part of it is that it has all of the different colors and details on the armor just give it so much more personality, I think, than
Fair.
its counterparts in the other games.
Yeah, fair, fair. I can't even argue with it because it's great. The other games have leather armor, but Morrowind only has a netch leather, so that's why it's separate here. So we have these four here. And now, even though it is semi-unfair to compliment on this, since the other games didn't have that, I like the natural leather helmet. I think it's kind of cool. And yeah, the other leathers are fine. This is what I guess I would say, think of when I think of leather armor. Details a little bit. You know what, Gage? Let me hear your thoughts before I make up my mind on this one.
I I don't completely hate Skyrim's leather armor, but I think out of this list, it might be my least favorite.
Okay.
Like, Oblivion has a pretty simple design, but
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Uh-huh.
I'm just not 100% sure what's going on in the Skyrim design. And Morrowind, I also like the Netch leather armor. It looks very odd to me, but I like it. It looks like something that a pilot would wear as they're flying their bomber over Red Mountain to try to kill Dagothar that way.
As they're flying their cliff racer.
Yeah, I guess I like Morrowind because it looks pretty unique. It really reminds me of a pilot.
Yeah.
But I think it's an interesting look. Oblivion, I got it looks almost the same between OG and the remaster, and I think that's because in original Oblivion, just the leather armor was one of the few sets that looked good in the original Oblivion.
Fair. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and Skyrim is I think it's just too much crazy stuff going on that my eyes can't fully make sense out of.
Fair. I think I've actually decided I'm going with Oblivion Remaster, and one of the things that threw me off the Morrowind one is I don't like this little like loincloth underwear thingy going on here. But also I just think the leather armor looks good. This is what I picture when I picture leather armor. And well, this has a neat design. I think this looks way better. I like the stitching of this much better than that one. I'm going with Oblivion Remaster. Final answer. Boom.
Okay. I'm seeing the loincloth thing you were talking about. I don't hate it as much as you do, I don't think. I think I am probably gonna actually give this one to original Oblivion.
Oh,
I
shit.
definitely
Okay.
see what you're saying with the stitches.
Uh-huh.
But this seems to be a trend that the remaster really went with, where certain parts of leather-esque armors were made to look like cloth, and you can really see that they did that with the pants.
Okay.
And I kind of like the leather
Yeah.
to look leathery.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
And so I think that since that one looks more durable, like it's actual, armor, I think that I like that one actually slightly better than the remaster.
Alright. Okay, so this is like the special Imperial armor. This is the Imperial Templar armor. These are the Imperial... that says Imperial Legion. It's actually supposed to be the Imperial Watch, so just ignore that. And also, I'm sorry that he's so... he's so wide. Actually, I think this has a lot more detail than this, does it not?
It does. It has a lot more embroidery.
Yeah. Huh. Uh, I think, I think, I think I'm actually going with the original Oblivion for this one. I like the embroidery. I like the little gold and the red.
I'll go ahead and disqualify Skyrim right away. This is just a slightly different colored variation of the light Imperial armor that is in Skyrim.
Fair enough.
To me, I think it's between Morrowind and the Oblivion remaster.
Okay.
I like the kind of the sleekness. I feel like the Oblivion remaster of this armor kind of got a similar treatment to the Daedric armor in the remaster, where there was a lot going on, and they kind of removed some coloration, but made it a lot easier for my eyes to process what I'm looking at.
Okay. This says, I guard the Emperor and I'm a fancy man. Where this one just says, I guard the Emperor. And the Emperor is a fancy man. But this guy's armor doesn't say that, you know? This says, Uriel Septim himself chose my armor. This says, that he works a 9 to 5. Guarding. This says his other armor was in the wash and he needed to wear his old ones.
I respect where you're coming from. I don't dislike the original armor, per se. I do think that I like the slightly more simplistic designs, and well, I like different things. I like the gold trim around the gauntlets in the original. I don't know how much I love the extra embroidery on the chest. They kept some embroidery on the chest, but just I feel like the dragons in the center are more emphasized now that the rest of that yellow clutter is kind of gone.
That is fair, but they also de-emphasize some of the red. You can't see the red of the belt, and you can't see the red of this.
I agree. I
this.
kind of do like the red collar and the red belt, but I don't so much care for the massive amount of yellow just everywhere.
Completely fair.
And I will say, side note, Morrowind gets bonus points for the fact that you can actually wear that armor in that game. The Oblivion armor for both games is completely unobtainable by the player without mods or console commands. But I think as far as just aesthetics, I'm going to personally give it to the Oblivion remaster.
Alright. You know, suddenly Oblivion's making comebacks.
Right? They were in the dust for a hot minute.
This next section is going to be armors from different ones. And the main reason that this happened is Morrowind does not have enough armors to compete with all of Oblivion and Skyrim's armors. So, this is the... How do you pronounce this again?
Chitin, I do believe.
This is the chitin armor of Morrowind and Skyrim, and then for Oblivion, we have used the fur armors. So, with the chitin armor, I definitely prefer Skyrim's version to Morrowind's. I think the head is really cool, and I like the little mask thing. As for the Oblivion remaster, this feels like it has a lot more fur than this one. This one, it feels like maybe there's like, I don't know, some leathery spots. I guess there is here too, but I just enjoy the way this one is made more. And so then between these two, I'm gonna have to give it to this weird alien looking motherfucker. I think I like this armor a lot.
I think I will say that the chitin armor from Morrowind is one of Morrowind's sets that I never really got into. I'm not an overwhelming fan of the chitin look from Morrowind. Skyrim's is significantly more detailed, and Skyrim also gets on the Chitin Regard bonus points for having a heavy and light set that look different. What we're looking at right now in this picture is the heavy armor version of the Chitin armor, but there's also a light armor version that looks a lot smaller and sleeker.
Thank you for that context. I did not know.
As for the Oblivion fur armor, I won't spend too much time comparing the two to each other, other than to just say that the Oblivion remaster is significantly better. Obviously, Skyrim also has fur armor. As far as I'm aware, Morrowind is the one that does not have a fur armor.
That is, yeah.
We're not obviously comparing the Skyrim fur armor here. I'm just acknowledging that there is also fur armor in Skyrim. Out of the ones that we have, just that we're looking at right here, I think that the fur armor from the Oblivion remaster looks really, really good and really realistic, but I kind of just like the alien vibe and the detail that went into the chitin armor in Skyrim.
Hell yeah. That's a double Skyrim one right there. Boop. Alright, so now we got two Nordic ones versus the Blackwood companies. First thing I'm going to say about this is that the Oblivion remaster completely botched the Blackwood Company armor. Well, this is actually a weird lighting. It's usually darker. It's just completely different. This is, see, okay. The Blackwood Company for the Oblivion remaster is almost exactly the same as the steel armor. It just has a couple more details. The original Oblivion one was darker. Its things stood out more. And it felt like a fancier, better version of the steel. You can even see different details on the shoulders and stuff that the remaster doesn't have, because the remaster is basically just the steel one. Yeah, it does have a little bit right here, but there's almost no difference. Whereas there's a lot more difference between the Blackwood Company and the original versus the steel armor. That being said, I spent all that time to say it's neither of these two. It's definitely one of these two. Now, I really enjoy this armor. I don't like how awkward this man is standing, but I enjoy this armor a lot. But this armor is just so badass. Okay, actually I don't like the legs, that's weird. But it's pretty fucking badass. Okay, I'm actually giving it to Morrowind. Final answer, Morrowind.
First off, I agree with your take on the Oblivion remaster armor. They basically took all of the, not all, most of the character out of the armor. It was darker, it had the big emblems and the embroidery on the shoulders, and I think it's a bit of a bummer that it got reduced to being steel with spice.
Yeah, yeah.
I think overall I'm going to give this one to Skyrim. I do like just the very detailed, carved up armor. I like how the shoulders are basically like eagle or dragon heads, and the helmet is like a bear head. It very much pays homage to like the whole animalistic totem stuff that you see in like Nordic culture.
Alright, next up is the Morrowind versus the Madness armor. And we are definitely still rating these by aesthetic and not by how powerful they are. Otherwise, the Madness would be destroying it. Bone mold armor from Morrowind, especially with these bug shoulder things. I think there's other shoulder pads and other helmets and such, but this particular one here is the coolest motherfucking thing ever. It's like you are wearing a bug, and you are real cool, and I love the helmet, I love the shoulder pads. This armor was so cool. I used to draw it all the fucking time, and I was really bad at drawing it, but I'm sure my bad drawings looked about as good as this picture. Then we got the Skyrim bold mode armor. Where's the shoulder pads? Where's the cool little shoulder pads, huh? It's in this helmet. This helmet is actually fine. It's fine. But the Madness armor, especially the face on the chest, is so fucking cool. And that's why I'm giving it to Morrowind.
Well, I know that you hard disagree, but I think I've been kind of repetitive on this. I don't love it when the shoulder pad is like larger than your chest piece on armors. So I actually don't care for that aspect of the Morrowind armor personally.
I need football-sized shoulder pads and giant horns, and I'm a happy boy.
You and I like the exact opposite things in those specific regards. God, I don't hate it, but the fur really does feel a bit out of place on the Madness armor compared to everything else.
I'm gonna definitely agree.
I think overall the remaster did a really good job. I think that they did a pretty faithful recreation of the Madness armor. I think that the fur, even though I don't love the fur on the boots, I mean, they kept it from the original, which is fine, and I think they got rid of the weird orangish color that it had at least, which is nice. And I think overall it just has a lot more detail to it. Like, they gave it a little shine. If you look at the visor, it actually looks like the visor in the remaster has depth to it.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually a slant that you look out of.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas that's less clear looking in the OG Oblivion.
Yeah.
So I definitely prefer the Madness armor in the remaster over the original. Mm-hmm. With my only real complaint being the fur and the boots.
Mm-hmm. The boots with the fur.
Yeah. It just, no other part of the armor has fur, so it's a little jarring to look upon. I personally prefer the bone mold for Skyrim over Morrowind. I think overall, just on account of having the most detail, I might have to go with Oblivion Remaster for this one.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay, so for these last four right here, these are completely unrelated armors. It's kind of just what we think is the coolest out of these four. I tried to choose some more unique ones. For Morrowind, I just chose the last four that exist. For Oblivion and Skyrim, I tried to choose unique, cool ones. So, I really like this one. I like wearing the little head thing, and I like how mad they get when I wear this. But the Crusader armor kicks so much ass. It was, before the Oblivion remaster, it was my favorite Oblivion armor. It is such a great armor. However, take a look at that. Wow, wow, wee, wow. Wowie zowie. I can't not give it to Skyrim. It's too cool.
Well, first off, I will say that much like the Dark Brotherhood and leather armors, I actually prefer the original look of the Divine Crusader armor. One thing that really jumps out at me is the diamond in the chest.
Uh-huh.
It's fucking huge. It looks like it's there to draw attention in the original Oblivion.
Uh-huh.
And in the second one, like, I don't even know what's going on there. It's just like a tiny little diamond, and it's not even centered in the chest anymore. It's like
all.
Down by the belly button.
Uh-huh.
I just really don't see what the reasoning was there for changing that aspect of it. I guess I also kind of like the overall grittiness on the metal in the original Oblivion, and it looks just slightly bulkier, but in this scenario it works. Like, it's a Crusader armor. And I think in the remake it's more polished and slimmer, and I think that changes its overall vibe
Yeah.
compared, especially coupled with the itty bitty tiny. It even looks like it's a Sodom little sticker almost, because it pops out slightly on
I see that.
remake.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually think my least favorite on this list will actually be the Oblivion remake, and I can't
Fair.
tell if this character model is not wearing the gauntlets or if they changed those. Could you zoom in? Yeah, that looks like a Dark Elf's hand right there.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess they're not wearing the gauntlets then for some reason.
But yeah, just in general, I think that the original Crusader armor is better than the remaster. It's kind of hard to fairly compare these side by side, the rest of them, due to just how wildly different they are. Like, the Falmer are interesting, and this is a good-looking piece of armor, but I think that I might have a slight bias to just not caring very much about the Falmer
Okay.
as far as their aesthetic goes. So, to me, it really is between original Oblivion and the Indoril armor from Morrowind.
Yeah.
I love both of these armor sets so much, as a matter of fact. Like,
And see, I'm actually a little surprised by that because of the Indoril's shoulder blades. But is it because the body proportions seem to fit better?
The body proportions do fit significantly better, and like I can tell that this was definitely like a bug plate. A nice detail, if you really zoom in on the shoulder piece, it's a double joint
right
from
here.
the bug
Yeah.
chitin. Yeah.
And that is really, really cool.
I really like that detail. Even though it's slightly bigger, it's not like crazy big and bulky. It's sleek. It's a double joint that is very insect-like. And so I really like that. I think possibly my only complaint is that there are no greaves with this armor.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't really hurt the overall aesthetic, especially, the pants that are being worn here match the coloration, but there are no greaves of this set, so if you wanted to actually wear Indoril armor and have it look like this, you'd actually be missing an armor slot. I like the Divine Crusader armor so much, but I think that I have to give this one to Morrowind just on account of the unique aesthetic. And also, fuck all them Ordinator hoes who got on my ass for wearing it. I'm the reincarnation of Indoril Nerevar.
Oh my god, look at these two. Look at these two. Okay, so next up, we have... This is kind of the Indoril armor again, but this feels like a better version to me. I like this better. I like how the legs are. Just look at how cool this is. Plus, I like the coloration better. The only way I could describe this armor is straight pimpin'. Then we got the Knights of the Order. I like it. It's different, but I like it. I like the very large spike at the top of the head. It makes it look like a tower is coming after you. And then the Akatosh Order, I really like this a lot. This, I think, is very cool. I showed it to my sister, and she said she hated it. But look at this. There is a dragon at the top, and it's got little wings. How fucking cool is that? And I actually like the rounded shoulders. I think it's cool. However, all of them can suck a dick because the Nightingale armor is the coolest fucking thing. It's like you're a fucking ninja or something. You're the fucking Skyrim superhero. It's fucking badass, and it's amazing.
Yeah, well, I will also say that for me, the Nightingale armor wins hands down. It actually vaguely reminds me of just a significantly more detailed version of Morrowind's Dark Brotherhood armor.
I can see that, yeah.
But yeah, I love the amount of detail. I like how they managed to keep it all very dark colors without sacrificing the definition and the detail. And so, yeah, overall, really zero complaints about the appearance of the Nightingale armor.
Fuck yeah.
I will say Knights of the Order, I don't love the proportions, and it's all just a pretty dull gray. I mean, it's fine because it's Order. You know, Jiggalag is described as a dull dude, but I just overall, I don't think it's a very impressive aesthetic compared to the other things we have going on here.
Yeah.
What is it? The Akatosh Order armor. So I think this one is exclusive to the special version of the Oblivion remaster, right?
Yeah, correct.
I will say, I know it's wings. I know it's a dragon on top of that helmet, and I think that is neat in concept, but from a distance, this gives me moose vibes more than anything. They look like antlers to me. And I just can't quite shake that from my mind.
Fair.
I don't dislike the armor, but I think that I will say that the Nightingale is definitely my favorite, and the Her Hands on this list would be my second favorite.
I think I agree with that. I really like the Her Hands so much.
I think it's really pretty. I think I actually prefer overall the more grounded. I say grounded, even though it's still very alien. I like the less blinged out version of the Indoril armor. I understand what... I like that this is way flashier because Almalexia is a flashy bitch and these are her bodyguards, so it makes a lot of sense. I think overall I just like the coloration and vibe of the Indoril armor better personally.
That's fair, and also I feel like the shoulder pad, the double shoulder pads, are just more toned down on that one than they are on here.
Yeah. I will say though that the Her Hands fixed my only complaint about the Indoril armor, and that they gave them greaves.
Okay, so 2 to the Skyrim?
Yes.
Boop boop. Okay, so now we got the ice armor, 2 amber armors, and the how do you pronounce that?
Stalrim?
The Stalrim armor. But apparently these are the same?
They are both made out of Stalrim.
Okay. Well, so...
Which Stalrim is just enchanted ice.
Yeah, so I guess I could have actually had that in a different section where we had the 2 whatevers. Doesn't matter. I really like the ice sets. I think they look really cool. I've actually really never been a giant fan of this amber armor. It looks really dumb to me, especially the original. Some of the things they did in the remaster I like, but it still just ain't for me. This guy's just a bug, you know? Am I going to be intimidated by a man dressed as a bug? Probably not. But a man dressed as an ice cube? Oh, yeah. No, that's scary. One thing I do like about this better is it feels like... I don't like the brown here so much. I really like the coloring of this one better. But this one's got the horns, bro. I think I'm actually going to give it to Morrowind, though. This is just a fine piece of armor.
Okay, yeah, I'll start off and say that I don't love the amber armor from original Oblivion. 'Tis a bit silly looking. I think that the remaster is significantly better than original Oblivion in that regard. Also, side note, this has nothing to do with what we're actually comparing here, but if you have Creation Club content installed for Skyrim, there is also amber armor in Skyrim.
Oh, okay.
But it's not in the
Base game.
vanilla or anything. It's just Creation Club content.
Gotcha.
For Skyrim, I will note that much like the chitin armor, there is a heavy and a light variant that look different. This is the heavy variant that we're looking at right now. Overall, I've said this a bunch of times. I'm not an overwhelming fan of horns on armor, personally. I like the Stalrim vibes better than the Amber overall, and I think that as far as Stalrim goes between Morrowind and Skyrim, I think that Morrowind is my preferred look overall.
Hell yeah. And that brings the score to 12 to 12. And I believe this next one is the final one.
Oh, the deal breaker.
So this is for all the marbles, possibly. So we got, first off, the Royal Guard armor. I absolutely love this armor. I love it so much. I looked at the back of the cover of the PC version of Morrowind when I was growing up and was like, man, I fucking want that armor. And I ran around so much and never ever got that armor until much later when I was an adult, because I didn't know you had to talk to that person to, travel to... Because, I could just travel to Solstheim. I could just do that without talking to a person, but I couldn't do that there, so I didn't know. And man, I was so happy to finally travel there and get this armor that I had only seen legends of on the back of the cover. And not only is it really cool, but it's got these big spiky nipples, and I love love the helmet. This is such a cool helmet. I usually slap this on as my helmet with my Daedric outfit. It's just... This is one of my favorite helmet designs. In fact, whenever I draw, my own armor thing, I use this helmet design with big horns, 2 big horns. Then we got the Imperial Dragon. This one is just so decked out in colors and stuff, and I think it's actually probably too fancy for me. I'm not huge into it. The Cataclysm armor I do enjoy. It feels kind of Lord of the Rings-esque, especially in the helmet area. I do enjoy it. But, you know me, you know how I like big shoulder pads and horns. This dragon plate armor is some of the coolest fucking shit. And I usually end up using this helmet with a Daedric body armor, and it's pretty fucking cool. Not that the dragon plate isn't cool, because it's actual dragon bone, but the helmet really isn't that, so it just kind of goes well with the Daedric, and this is the one for me.
Alright, let's see here. I agree with you on the Imperial Dragon armor, that it's just a bit much going on. And, I think I said the same thing with the Palace Guard armor.
Mm-hmm.
Where if it maybe had just a tiny bit less detail, it might actually be an improvement.
Yeah.
I love the Morrowind armor. I never really thought of those as nipple spikes. I always thought of those as fasteners to join the shoulder pieces to the chest plate, but thank you for that image.
Oh, look at that bear. That's a cool detail.
That is a neat detail. One, nerd thing that I kind of like about the Royal Guard armor is, it's, it really gives the vibe of that's present in the Morrowind game, where Imperials are forcing their culture onto Morrowind.
Yeah.
Because that's a very Greco-Roman style helmet, especially.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got the darker purples and reds that you see more around Morrowind.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just really like this overall vibe and of an imperialized dark elfish themed armor. Really have no complaints about that armor set. Okay, it definitely has a ring wraith vibe with the helmet from Lord of the Rings. I'm not sure if I like that weird salmon-colored,
Skin thing.
yeah. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Is that supposed to... What's the name of this armor again?
It's the Cataclysm.
Is it supposed to be kind of Dagon-esque?
It is. In order to get it, you have to, like, do a little quest for Dagon.
I think I see where they were coming from. I'm just not sure that I like the end result. Like, I can see the slight resemblance to Mehrunes Dagon and, like, the colors and, like, especially the way that the bottom part looks like Mehrunes Dagon's little cloth thing. But I don't think I'm a huge fan of the Cataclysm armor personally.
Okay.
Dragon plate. I guess I'll also point out that there's also a dragon scale, which is the light version of this armor set, and it's much sleeker. I actually personally like the dragon scale armor's look a lot better than the dragon plate. Helmet for the dragon plate armor doesn't really, or the dragon bone, or whatever it's called in this game, doesn't quite match the rest of this armor set. I think overall I have to give this one to Morrowind.
Okay. That's fantastic because that means
that we're in a perfect tie between
Morrowind and Skyrim. I'm not sure how to do a tiebreaker here because Morrowind doesn't have any other armors.
Well, there are 2 pieces of armor I can think of.
Yeah.
They're 2 unique items, but they're in both games. The Mask of Clavicus Vile and the Savior's Hide armor.
So this is the Morrowind version, and this is the Skyrim version. Oh, it's easily the Skyrim one for me. I really like the curls. I really like the designs. It looks a lot cooler to me. This one looks a lot lamer, and it's kind of weird that it has the little hair there.
I will also be going with Skyrim on this one.
Alright.
It's got significantly more detail. The horns, like, curled back behind your head, and I think in this instance, horns are acceptable. It's a Daedric artifact. It's supposed to be gaudy and over the top.
And with that, Skyrim is the winner, with Morrowind in second place, Oblivion in third, and to no one's surprise, as much as I love the Oblivion game, the armors just are not up to the tier of Morrowind and Skyrim.